Well, hello, my friends. Welcome back. Today is Wednesday. I'm here with my good friend, Betty English. Today, we're going to talk about the why, the when, and the how of getting press as an artist. So, it's going to be a great topic. Hi, Beth. How are you today?
Hello, hello. I'm great. How are you?
I am doing great. What a great, conversation we had last week. Particularly talking about creativity and all the amazing things of how to be joyful as we create our art, and that
Mhm.
was really, really super cool. So today we're gonna follow up with press releases. I think it's a great follow up. You're making the art in the studio. You're putting all your love, all your passion, but now the artwork is done. Now, how do you get it to more people? Yeah, we can all share in our social media and so on, but they want to focus on trying to get press for your work. So I kind of divided this episode into three sections. So there's the why, why is that important? The when is a good time to create a press release, and the how specifically you can do that as well, getting it out in the world. So let's start with the why. I'm sure, Beth, you have written a lot of press releases as well in your career.
Yes.
Actually, yes,
Yes.
that's a big.
I have used the media as my friend, right? So I know all about this. And I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Awesome. So I love that. I love what you said, the media as your friend. And I think that's a great
Mhm.
way to get started, right? So let's talk about the why. That's the first question. The why is it important to have press? And this is kind of fresh in my mind because in my coaching program, we just released a part two of a mini video course on getting press for artists, right? How you can do it, and why is it important. And one of the things, that I really love to emphasize in the why is because when your artwork is written about in the media, it helps your art to be contextualized in the world today. In other words, we all make art, and throughout the history of art, we all have made art at a specific time in the history of the world, right? A specific time in which art is made. Art, it's made a specific time. So when art is written in this moment, that it's created right now, it's being contextualized, it's being explained, it's being talked about of how this work that you created in your studio now relates to the world, relates to us, to our life. And that's a very important reason why, as artists, we should look always into getting press, because it helps us contextualize what we're doing in hideout, and putting it in the context of the world. You like
Yes,
that?
that's so important. And one of the most important things when it comes to deciding as a publisher, what is it that you're going to publish? It has to
Mhm.
be relevant, right? And
Right.
so the more relevant your work is and the press releases to actually what's going on right now makes it a really strong story. And so I've worked on both sides of it as the artist getting press and as working in publishing for a while, I understood the whole process of like, how do we go about choosing
Hmm.
who to say yes to? And you're
Right.
100% right. Like, it has to be relevant.
Absolutely. Yeah. Super important. And I think, I love that idea that, sometimes we think that we are the only one sending that document. You are really competing with a lot of stories. And
Yeah.
therefore, putting a lot of attention to it is super important. Sitting down and writing down exactly what's in it for the audience, what's in it for the viewer, not just for you. A lot of times as artists, we think like, well, the press release is something that, is for me, for my benefit, for it's going to give me more publicity and so on. But we also got to think about the person on the other side, right? The editor who's going to read that, the viewer who's going to be, looking at that. What's in it for them, right? How is that story that you're creating also makes their life better, or makes it more interesting, or sometimes
Mhm.
fills some sort of gap in which will help them understand something greater in the world. So that's another reason, of another part of the why, right? Also, figure out what's your story, and figure out how that also matters to others.
Yes, you got to do that because I mean, if you know that a particular writer for a particular newspaper or magazine or blog or whoever that is really loves, say, artwork about trees or artwork about landscapes, then if you do that type of artwork, then you're going to already have like this commonality with the writer who would potentially choose your work to write about. So I think it's also important to know like who you're pitching to.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Now, all those kind of things that slowly kind of bring together a really good, strong press release. Now, I'm going to give really quickly, like a couple, 3 or 4 more reasons of why, and then we're going to go to the when. So another reason why you should get a press release is you also helps you, or you get published, I should say. It also helps you document your work.
Yes.
You can put it in your website, but it's really nice when it's documented by others, when you get others to say things about your art, not necessarily just you pitching yourself, but it's pitching on others. Also, puts you in front of a new audience. I think that is very important. Every outlet has its audience, so it puts you in front of them. Gives you also content that you can share in your own, social media, on your website. You can use quotes from that story that was written, and you can use that. Gives you a lot of content that you can use. And one that I think, a lot of times we don't think about is that it may also help you improve your sales, because people will see you, people will get interested about it. They might inquire a particular something. This is a quick story that happened just to me recently, and that's why I always like to think about, finding ways in which I can get press. Is there's a person who inquired about one of my paintings. So I gave her the information, and we've been talking, she hasn't committed yet to the work. And then that painting last month got featured in a Chicago magazine. So what I did, so of course, I took a picture of that and I sent her the picture, and I said, well, just so you know, this painting just got featured in a local, interior design magazine here in Chicago. Might not last too long. So, she replied and she says she wants to come and see it this month. So super excited. I think that magazine article, or that feature will help me sell the painting, So these are just kind of like some of the whys, we should really look into opportunities for this.
Yes, I love that. Congratulations, by the way. I think that those are all really great tips, because, anything that you have to support your credibility, your influence, your vision, that always helps, because it gives people that sense of trust when they're going to spend money with you. And that's really the most important thing, is that you want to establish that trust. And I think, having professional publications writing about you and showing your work is a great way to do that.
Yep, absolutely. Now, so that's the why, right? So we just kind of touch on some of the reasons why you should get press. Now, the when. When should you get press? Well, I think there's a huge list here, and between Ben and I, we can just kind of shout out some ideas. Maybe when, of course, the most logical one, when you have a show. I think that's when, you should look into that. But also when you have an open studio, if you are releasing a new body of work, if you're doing an online show. This is something crazy that happened with a lot of my artists that I'm coaching in my community, is that, we do press releases, for online shows and things like that. And to my surprise, is once the pandemic started and a lot of shows went online, all of a sudden, like online shows, which typically were not as important as a real, physical show, all of a sudden everybody was like, this is actually an actual show. It just happens to be online. And I think that's not going to change. They will still be important. So it can open a whole new opportunity. And there's a lot of people writing about online exhibitions where they were never doing that before. So if you have an online show, treat it like an actual exhibition, send a press release about it. I had artists who got featured on TV because of an online show, because they took the time to send that press release with a great story. The person who read it like, oh, this is great. Let's bring you in. And, it was just so awesome to see that, right? So when pretty much any time that something is happening in your art career, it's a great reason to put that out there.
That's right. And I know for myself, I didn't wait for a gallery to, have a show about my work or for anyone else. I made up the projects all on my own. And so I think that is really encouraging. You don't have to wait on someone else to give you permission to, have a reason for someone to write about you. Like, you get to have that choice. Right. And so I would just kind of create my own little mini projects and then execute them and then send press releases out. And so I would work in campaigns sort of like, and so I did this all the time, and it was always in community involved. And I love that. I love community. So that makes sense for me. And so, don't wait. You just decide when it's time is right for you, which is now.
Absolutely. I always say that you can sit on a couch and waiting for an opportunity to come your way, or you can get up and make your own opportunities,
That's right.
Both you, Beth, and I, we like to get up and do our own opportunities. And then what happens is that you make your own opportunities, and then other opportunities come your way too, as a default, because you're putting yourself out there,
Oh, yeah.
So
That's
that
just
always
how it
helps.
works. It's like a snowball effect, right? You just
Exactly.
do something, you say, I'm giving myself permission. I'm valuable enough and important enough to believe in myself to do this. And you do it, and other people pick up on that. And then
Yeah.
good things happen.
It just goes on and on. And so that's the why. We talk about the when, you give you some ideas on when. Now let's talk about the how, right? The how. Well, on the how, there's, of course, we can dedicate a whole episode on just writing the press release itself. But, in a nutshell, you gotta learn, and this, I want to emphasize that you gotta learn how to do it correctly, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times press releases can get too long or deviate or vague. A great press release is short and it's straight to the point. The more
Mm-hmm.
jargon you add, and the more you will confuse the reader and the person who's going to take this for you. The purpose of the press release is not that you tell the whole story. It's just that you give a little bit of a taste to the person on the other side to say, oh, I think there's a great possibility to expand on this story, so that then they contact you and then they will do their work. You're not doing their work, but you just try to give them, the carrot per se, so that
That's
they go
right.
for it.
I love that. And I just want to add another little thing too, because the most important thing that I learned about getting press for my work was how to connect with the different types of publications. For example, if you're wanting to be in a magazine, your press release needs to be sent in at least like 3 or 4 months before the publication date that you want to hit for that, because that's just how magazines work. Versus newspapers, they're creating new content every day. So maybe like a month before. Versus TV news, they're doing, making decisions like within a few days. And so maybe like a couple weeks before, you have to have that publication like goal that you want to hit, because a lot of times that aligns with your show date or whatever it is that you're doing that's relevant. And so just be mindful of like who you want to publish you and how much time you need to prepare yourself to be able to do that, so that you're not waiting to the last minute and then disappointed that you didn't get any, press.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally important. The timing is important.
Yeah.
Super important. And another one in the how to, which I think is also super important, is when we are writing our press releases and we're putting it together, is also just the way we create, as artists, we create a mailing list, for your contacts and your collectors. You should also have a mailing list for media, like Beth said at the beginning, your media friends, right? You gotta create a media list that it grows over time. That you start adding people to it, because guess what, if they wrote once for you, they might want to write again, maybe in the future. People also move from job to job. Maybe somebody wrote a great story at one job they had, now they move to a new magazine or a new newspaper, and they still in contact with you, they still get your press releases, they might feature you again now in a different job that they have. So a lot of times we lack opportunities in press release because we assume that they don't care. They only write about their favorite people. They only, we make all these, mindset blocks from the get-go, and we don't send things out. In my experience working, with artists in this topic, when they break that mindset block and they just start sending them out, amazing things can happen. Of course, not every press release is going to be welcome and written by in every newspaper or magazine you send it to, but that's why you start growing your list, because you never know who's going to take it, who's going to, say, okay, this time this story just resonates with me and I'm going to do it.
Exactly. And, a lot of those email addresses that we send those press releases to are editor at, and then like the name of the website, but if you're connecting with a specific writer, I mean, that could be even more helpful, connecting with people whose articles you're already reading or admired. Like, it's important to build those relationships, just like it's important to build relationships with your collectors. And so don't wait to do that. Like, start now. Like, if you read an art article or anywhere, like, reach out to the writer and tell them how much you enjoyed it. And that's it. We as all creators like to have that encouraging word sent to us every once in a while, so that we're like, oh yeah, people are actually reading this. They're actually, they care. And so that's important to share that as well.
Absolutely. What a great tip. And with that one, we're going to end it. We could be talking about this for a long time. And my friends, if you want to check it out, like I said, I just released the second part of that mini course that is inside of my coaching program. Just reach out to me or visit my website at theartistnextlevel.com. When you join my academy, you get access to this course plus all the other courses that are in there as well. And it's a good one. It's a one that you can use anytime, all the time. and it will help you, go through the why, when, and some strategies that I shared on how I actually, find people to send my press releases to. Because that's one of the hardest things, like, okay, so I created this awesome press release, but where do I send it? How do I find contacts? So I teach you how I do it behind the scenes, the step by step, which works really, really great. So
awesome.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you, Beth, for joining me. I know, we can talk about this for a long time, but you have always great input and great insights to bring to us as well. So I look forward to connecting with you next week. Where can our friends find you, Beth?
You guys can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Beth English. My website's at bethenglish.com. And you know what? I would love to connect with you. I have extended this invitation out to a lot of artists before, and they, send me messages with questions, and I truly love doing that. So if that's something that you would like to do, just know that I am here opening myself up to receive your message with warmth. So go out and do that. What about
Absolutely.
you, Sergio?
You guys can find me online at Sergio Gomez Art, and you want to check out my program, just go to theartistnextlevel.com. That's where you can find everything about how we're helping artists as well. So have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next time, Beth, and have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.